course, I was fantasising that he was having an affair with that steward, but I suppose he wasn't. But he looked quite nice, really. I hope I don't find out that he led some kind of massacre of a whole tribe or something. That would be rather awkward.
To piece together his grandfather Cyril's adult life in Nigeria, Rupert's come to the National Archives in Kew. He's meeting Dr. Ruth Watson, an expert on Nigerian history.
Well, I can tell you that your grandfather went to Nigeria in 1908.
1908.
This here is called the Colonial Office List, and this is from 1940. And when you find your grandfather's name, you'll be able to see all the appointments that he held.
Everett, Cyril Frederick Cunningham, born 1886, supervisor Customs, second grade, Nigeria 1916. Then he was a collector of customs, 1924. In 1936, your grandfather was appointed to this post of Assistant Controller of Customs. This officer will, in the normal course of events, be in charge of the port of Lagos. Well, that's a rather important job, I suppose.
Yes, it was actually a very powerful figure.
Lagos, the then capital of Nigeria, was one of the largest and most important ports in West Africa. In 1914, just before Cyril Everett joined the colonial service, Nigeria became an official British protectorate. The region's rich natural resources had been bringing European traders to West Africa for hundreds of years. Nigeria's chief export was palm oil, which was used throughout the world to make soap products. In 1916, to make more money, the colonial authorities imposed export duties on palm oil, generating vital revenue for the colonial administration. Customs officers like Cyril Everett were charged with gathering this money and overseeing the large Nigerian staff.
I have a photograph here, of him with his staff. There it is. So there's 2 white guys and 20 black guys.
Yeah.
Since he had a good wage and a good job, why didn't he ever bring his family to live with him?
Well, it was quite common at that time for colonial officers not to bring their families out. There was a fear that children in particular would not be sensitive to the kinds of racial and social boundaries that needed to be maintained to assert British imperial superiority, basically.
Right. Must have been a very blinkered viewpoint that the British had. It's very difficult to put one's head inside the mindset of a man in that period. Did he spend every evening alone in his house, being served a drink on a tray by somebody and just sitting there in the sweltering heat as some fan went, surrounded by a whole world that he had kind of blocked off, which they did? I mean, imagine what Nigeria must have been like. They didn't ever seem to experience that.
Well, your grandfather really devoted the best part of his life to the colonial service in Nigeria from 1916 to 1940. So one version of history would be that he had a highly successful career in the colonial service. He worked his